Comrades, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode number 2 of the Quamfy Show.
The Quamfy Show. It's no longer Quamfy in the Lowlands. We are now the Quamfy Show.
Yeah,
welcome.
We went for the rebrand since we're now bilingual officially. Dutch people will understand the Quamfy Show, the Quamfy Show, just as well as they understand Quamfy in the LACchain, while English people probably break their throat over the pronunciation alone, let alone understanding it. So welcome, and it's going to be a pretty packed episode.
It is. A lot happened last week. I made a lot of promises on Twitter that we would be talking about it, and then at the moment you're preparing the episode, you're like, oh no, we have a lot to talk about, but that's actually good. So let's get started right away. What happened last week? Personally, Jarno, how did you feel? How do you feel about the last 7 days since last Thursday?
That's interesting. We've been mostly busy with getting this entire show on its feet. We are now on Podbean. We're on different podcast channels like the Spotify, the Amazon, and Google podcasts.
Google.
Yeah, Apple is a little bit of a tough nut to crack. They have this fabulous podcast network. They coined the term podcast, but for some weird reason, they are having issues ranging back from like 2019 with people not being able to upload their podcasts and not being approved, which is quite strange.
That's terrible. We would really like to be on the Apple Podcasts, but it is just not possible for us for some reason. We're getting an error, and we're doing everything we can, but for some reason it's impossible. So now we have the funny situation where we're uploading a Dutch podcast to Amazon Music, while in the Netherlands and Belgium podcasts are not even available on Amazon Music. So I think the Dutch diaspora in other countries can enjoy our podcast. We're kind of a wereldomroep in this way.
So that took up a lot of bandwidth to getting that all sorted. Obviously, we had the Dutch podcast going live on Tuesday. Was pretty interesting. We had a pretty good talk there. Market-wise, there's not that much going on. It's I got my first NFT, which is interesting.
Eden
Horde, yeah. On LACchain, nonetheless. By the way, if people heard me talk about LACchain, there is this sneaking suspicion that it might not be the best investment. So if somebody was trying to copy,
get out.
It might not be the best to hold on. We could be wrong, but I'm out. I have no LACchain anymore. I did buy the NFT there, which was based on some alpha I got from a group. Interesting. So that went on. I got a bunch of extra QNT from the LACchain that I sold. So I'm even more Quamfy than I was, which is awesome. I'm just feeling Quamfy as ever. There's not that much going on. No good news, no bad news. We know that in the background, everything is proceeding as planned. We're gonna prove that later on. There's been a new update today, Overledger 2.2.0. There's news on LACchain, and there is a course launched by Quant in cooperation with King's College London.
This is by far the biggest news of last week, in my opinion.
For becoming certified as a blockchain and an Overledger developer, which is amazing. We'll elaborate on that in a bit. So yeah, I'm just Quamfy as ever. How do you feel, Tim?
How I feel?
Yeah.
I'm feeling good. I got a question as well somewhere on a social media platform. And he asked me, well, how do you feel compared to the period before Christmas? I said, well, the same. I feel as Quamfy as ever. Sure, the price action wasn't really good since Christmas. We had to, kind of index our taxes on the 1st of January. And I remember us being at 155 in euro. So that's like 170 burger tokens. a bit more, I guess. Something like 170 freedom units. No. So yeah, and then we dropped all the way back to around what was it, like 90 freedom units, and that's €75. And now we're on the way back up. And honestly, going down sucked. But I didn't panic. It just really sucked. You're mentally trained in a way. It's also in the middle of the winter, so at least when you're here in the northern hemisphere, kind of sucks. But on the other hand, you see all the other things. You see the price action, and you see the company just developing. They're just going on with what's happening. You see the amount of wallets increasing every day. You see total panic all over the crypto market. You see a possibility of a Russian invasion. You're like, okay, but we're going back up.
We should have been dead today, because yesterday the invasion was planned for 3 o'clock local time in the afternoon, and for some reason it didn't happen.
No, exactly. So you're still alive. We're still making it. The pandemic also seems to be over, if you believe certain people. A bit more skeptical about that, but it's looking good, at least. So yeah, I'm just as Quamfy as ever and just following the news, recording Quant. I feel good about the fact that we went onto Twitter. I made one last Thursday, so 1 week ago now. We only have a little less than 200 followers at the moment, so we're small. And I really hope that people start supporting us there, because we are really trying to make an interoperable platform between Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, so that everybody can listen and watch free of charge, which is very important to us.
Yeah, we set up the entire show via Podbean, got ourselves going on Spotify, which is fantastic. Honestly, it's so great that we are on Spotify. It's my go-to app for listening music, and it's just brilliant. It updates kind of immediately, so as soon as we change things in terms of the feeds that we send to all the platforms, it changes immediately. It looks good and it sounds great, so I can just go on a walk sometimes and just listen to ourselves. That's what I do, actually, to just kind of train myself in how I talk and what I can change.
You little narcissist, you.
Yeah, well, no, and it's also kind of enjoyable, because during a podcast, I'm just listening.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking for myself what I'm going to say next, and sometimes I just kind of miss what you said, and sometimes that's very smart, and I just miss it, and I'm like, yeah, sure, and then I just move on to another topic. And listening it back, you actually hear all the stuff that it's actually being said sometimes. Yeah. I think it goes both ways, obviously.
Definitely.
So that was great.
And what also is going on is we have some new hardware. Tim has a new webcam.
Yeah, I hope it's better. It's should be better, at least.
Still not pretty to look at, but at least the resolution is higher.
Exactly. No, exactly. It's still terrible, but at least it's in a higher resolution.
Yeah, and I'm fucking about with some light strips, getting the lighting more consistent and better. This is also because now we are recording during daytime, and as you can see, I have light coming from the right. So my camera is adjusting all the time. I try to catch that, because balcony's on the south side, or the windows on the south side of the house. Northern hemisphere, meaning full sunshine right now, which kind of sucks. But in a couple of weeks, we're gonna start recording at night, and then cameras need a lot of light, and light is over there, and that is shit. So we're kind of tuning to get everything going. Same goes for Tim.
It's just a very basic setup. No green screens are here. It's just a computer kind of calculating how we look. So sometimes we make funny movements. You can see the background. Oh, I'm disappearing now. That's kind of the quirky things that make this podcast so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just had a great week overall. Great news. The course that's being offered, the blockchain and DLT course that's offered by Quant in partnership with King's College London, obviously due to Luke Riley's.
Shall we start there? Shall I share my screen and then?
Yeah, sure. That's it's by far the biggest news of last week. So let's get started there. Oh, this is us. On Podbean.
Oh yeah, we're also going to elaborate on CCIP a little bit. There were some people asking questions about CCIP. That's like the chain link solution and main competition for QNT. We have some interesting alpha on that. Yeah, obviously this is Podbean. This is our podcast channel. The quamfyshow.podbean.com, and here you can click anywhere you please to go or desire to go, and it's all free.
Yeah, free of charge. You don't have to pay us any QNT.
Not yet. No.
We don't have a treasury working yet, but it's free until the 15th of May, Jarno. Then you'll have to, we'll charge you an annual fee of $99 payable in QNT.
Exactly. Let's hope it's not a whole QNT by then. Okay, let's dig into this, because this is, to me, this is a very important FUD breaker. And what am I looking at? I'm looking at a website called futurelearn.com/courses/become a blockchain developer foundations/1. You will find this link in the description of either the video or the podcast or whatever platform you're on. And the headline reads, a beginner's guide to becoming a blockchain developer with Overledger. Discover the basics of blockchain and distributed ledger technologies to unlock exciting new career paths. And it is, you see the logo of Quant and King's College London, together with a nice picture with some arcs, implying everything is connected. This is a very interesting FUD breaker to me, because there are still people claiming that Quant has no working product. There's no working product. There's no evidence that anything is going on. There are no updates to the GitHub, etc., etc. And it's hard to prove, because the only thing that is up right now officially is the testnet, and accessible to us. I mean, OVN is live, but only on the enterprise side, and gateways are currently ran by Quant themselves. So it's hard to prove. And now having a course online in collaboration with King's College London, which is pretty huge. It's a big university, college, very well known, very reputable. But obviously, same goes for Oracle, LACchain.
I think King's is the 8th university in the UK, something like that. Depends a little bit how you rank it. And then it obviously also depends on the Department of Computer Science. I think it's 8th. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's definitely in the top 10 in the UK.
Yeah, but they are reputable. That's a fact. And since they are now offering a free of charge course, obviously it's not 100% free. It's 100% free up to a certain level, and with certain services. Obviously, it's a tiered system. So you got the lowest tier, which is free, which are the basics of using Overledger, of using of coding blockchain in a way. Luke Riley elaborated on that a bit this morning. Don't have this handy right now. I will look that up in a bit. But this is amazing, because this actually proves that there's stuff going on, that there is demand. Because why the fuck would you want to create a course for training devs on a certain product if it's all vaporware? Just doesn't make any logical sense. Also, because King's College London said, okay, we're endorsing this.
Yeah.
They would not endorse vaporware. Same goes.
No, that would be a bit weird.
No, bro. It's all.
Well, the only thought I can imagine is that apparently when you just you can kind of get quite easily into King's. I've heard if you just pay the tuition, you're fine usually. If you just do. No, that's irregular thought. Let's not go that way.
Okay, what you can see on the screen, you can join the course. 366 people enrolled. You can see here the duration is 3 weeks with a weekly study of 6 hours. It is 100% online, and you complete it in your own time. There's also an unlimited program. Don't know what that entails, for 20 euros a month. Go navigate this for yourself and check this out. First header: understand the main components of distributed ledgers and blockchain. This reads, with the rise of the digital economy, it's no surprise that cryptocurrencies and blockchains are growing in popularity. This 3-week course from King's College London and Quant Network will empower you with an understanding of how blockchains and distributed ledgers work, as well as their advantages over centralized ledgers. Once you've completed this course, you will have the foundational knowledge that you need to become a blockchain developer. And this is free, and it's pretty interesting because there was a tweet by Quant, or maybe somebody else, pardon me, and that stated that there were 2 million developers in the world, or
no, there are 27 million developers in the world, of which
yeah,
only 200,000 are engaged with blockchain and DLT. So it's a very small part. And that's also one of the problems now, is that if you're developing with blockchain or DLT, that there's such a limited amount of developers. It's going to create huge issues in developing stuff and hiring people. So what Quant has done is that they just opened their Overledger to multiple programming languages, so that most developers can easily develop on Overledger in language that makes sense to them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is one of the problems that Quant solves, as Andrew would usually put it.
Exactly. And
the future of finance today.
Yeah. It goes on, reading, be introduced to cryptocurrencies. There are thousands of cryptocurrencies in existence. On this course, you will learn how to develop programs to send and receive payments for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. Importantly, you will also learn about the groundbreaking distributed ledger technology that these cryptocurrencies are built on.
Yep.
Learn how to build programs that interact with distributed ledger technology. Applications built on distributed ledger technologies, or DLTs for short, are more transparent, promote decentralized control, and are more resilient to software crashes as well as malicious actors. On this course, you'll gain the skills needed to create your own application and programs that can interact with and be built on DLTs. And you can study with the specialists at King's College London and Quant Network. The King's College Department of Informatics has a long-established leadership in the distributed artificial intelligence domain, which is closely related to blockchain. Coupled with DLT know-how of Quant Network, these experts are the perfect guides to help you become a blockchain developer. Then they're showing the syllabus, etc., which you can read for yourself. And then it also shows the 3 people you can learn with, being Luke Riley, which is obviously one of the quant gods, Raphael Belchior, and Carmine Ventre. Yeah, and here you see the ways to learn. You can buy this course, you can subscribe to unlimited, or join with the limited access. I highly encourage you to check this out. I am not a developer at all.
No, me neither.
I ran a gateway. I think I'd need to update it for quite some time. All right, but I got it going back in the day. It was a learning curve, definitely, but it's doable. And now they have upped their game and actually created a course to guide people, which is amazing. And I'll be definitely having a look at this morning in the Quant community channel. The link is in the description for that. Luke Riley, so that's one of the what was that? Is he the chief development officer or something like that?
Yeah.
I know all those terms. But he came into the main channel with a message. Good morning. I'm reading this from Telegram. Just dropping in briefly to mention a few points around the Future Learn course. Firstly, it's great to have this. Now we have a really useful place to point any type of developer interested in Overledger. Note, we decided to create this course in a way that learners could start and finish it at any time. Therefore, the course has no live classes. It is made up of articles, developer exercises, discussion boards, and quizzes. This is the most time-efficient way for us to make this course available and accessible. Hopefully, it works really nicely. This means that the course will be up and ready for whoever wants to take it whenever they want. Then Luke continues. For the developer exercises, you will see examples showing the power of Overledger, where there will be scripts containing certain logic that can be easily run against different DLTs with a simple change to one parameter, which we call the location object. Also, for the developer exercises, we suggest that you have basic programming skills. I actually think that the setup of your environment, installing the required prerequisites, language, packages, is probably the most complex part for new developers. The exercises in the course do use the JS V2 SDK, but if you're familiar with any type of programming language, it should be easy to set up and use. I can attest to this. When I was setting up my VPS, I had no programming knowledge whatsoever. So it took me some time to figure out Ubuntu, which is a form of Linux, because I needed to install a firewall. I needed to install some programs to run other programs. And this is what Luke Riley talks about. But really, if you can just read and understand English, probably not even necessarily English, because Linux is like freeware and it's used all over the world. You can probably find guides in your own language on how to get that shit going. And from there, you can just make a document for yourself. I did that too. And you can just create a folder, put some documents in for certain stages of setting up the gateway, and just copy paste and just change around the variables whenever you need to. So you don't have to memorize all that stuff. And even I got it going. Quantity then asks, hi Luke, if someone has zero coding experience, what would you recommend to learn before starting the quant courses? He responds to that, I would suggest you give it a go from next week, and if you run into any issues, then discuss it on the boards or around here. There are more messages from Luke, but for the sake of time, do you want me to go over them, Tim?
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Luke Riley continues after the question from Quantity. The theoretical content should be accessible to both developers and non-developers. Therefore, I encourage anyone interested in Overledger and therefore DLT to sign up. But I do also encourage even non-developers to try the exercises, as they shouldn't be too difficult to understand, as they will add to your understanding of DLT and Overledger. If you have any problems, I'm sure you will be able to solve them fairly quickly in the future Learn discussion boards or elsewhere, such as in these Telegram groups. He continues then, for the theoretical aspects, we are starting from the foundational components of DLT so that all learners have a solid knowledge base from which to explore more advanced topics. Some of these theoretical sections include Overledger aspects where it is natural to include it. Over time, more and more of our knowledge of DLT is being integrated into Overledger, which makes it an obvious tool to help teach DLTs. I hope you find this first in a series of courses interesting. Good luck. This is amazing. I think this is great. I think if you look at back in 2020, summer 2020, when the first gateways in quotation marks were up on testnet, there was a challenge. I didn't elaborate on this in English, but there was a
payments challenge, right?
Yeah, payment channel challenge indeed, and everybody was super excited. They made a document, and they had kind of like this obstacle course with questions, kind of in the same way he describes right now. And I was just grinding and trying to figure it out and trying to learn and navigating on Etherscan and stuff. And it was terrible. It hurt physically. It physically hurt my brain because it was so difficult. But eventually, I did get a gateway running, and we gave a bunch of feedback. I did, and I know a bunch of other people did, to Luke Riley and to Quant Network, and it's 1.5 years later. But from what I just read, they implemented all that feedback. They heard our pleas for, okay, this is too difficult, or this is not clear, and they fixed it from what I can see now. So yeah, I'm just gonna go about it and see how it goes, see how it works. Very interesting.
You up for the challenge to?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is also a little bit of a band-aid that they now have this course, because after the payment channel challenge, it's a mouthful. They they didn't really give us feedback, or at least they didn't really engage anymore with the developers, not in a way that everybody would like. So that this exists now, I think that's amazing. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, I'm not really up for the challenge. I might do it.
What's holding you back?
I'm not sure. I think I'll run into issues, and I just don't think I will be really that motivated to get it started.
What issues? Because you're still vague.
I'm not sure. I'm just always a bit wary of just starting new stuff and getting lost in it. I'm not sure what it will add because I have no intentions of becoming a developer.
You don't want to run a gateway?
Well, I think gateways will be so easy at some point that everyone will be able to understand it. So I don't really see the...
Understand it or operate, be able to operate it. There's a difference.
Well, operate it and understand what's going on. So I think... I'm not sure. I'll have to see how this goes. I'm not really interested in doing this, honestly.
Yeah, you're not really the first, how do you say that, the early adapters?
No, I'm not. No, I
you're not really a laggard either, but it's kind of like the in-between phase.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how this goes, and I'm busy enough with other stuff, so
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's interesting nonetheless, and I think that people should do it if they're interested, and it will definitely form a bridge between getting more knowledge and the current points where a lot of people are. So do it. If you're interested, go for it. I've seen that a lot of people in the community are going to try this out, and definitely if you're up for a challenge, go and do it. What could possibly go wrong? It's just for me that I'm kind of lazy with everything. I've lots of well, I'm not that lazy actually. I'm checking my phone all the time, broadcasting updates all day. I don't think I'm that lazy. It's just not really in my. I'm not that technical. My technical knowledge is quite limited. So yeah, but I am a nerd on the other hand, so I'm not sure. Anyways, there was more this week. I promised somewhere this weekend that we were going to talk about a little mention of Overledger in an academic article from scholars from the National University of Singapore. What can we say about this? Have you seen the tweet that I sent you, or
was that the tweet that didn't work?
No, that's a LACchain. That's a Medium article that I sent you.
Where did you send it? You sent it in the private?
Yeah.
Or,
yeah, it's a Medium article. It's the latest article that I've sent.
Yeah, that's the LACnet.
Yeah, well, that was what the tweet was about.
Yeah. So LACnik and Red Clara. Okay, sorry. Yeah. We actually tried to coordinate this time in advance, but yeah. Yeah,
well,
we failed.
We can talk about something else while you get
it
started.
No, I have it.
Cool, and then I'll search the other stuff that I promised. I'll get back to you in a bit.
Yeah. So this reads LACnetwork.medium.com, and it's an article on LACnik and Red Clara in collaboration with IDB Lab launch LACnet, offering the first global enterprise-grade blockchain network in production. LACnet, LACchain is the Latin America and the Caribbean blockchain network. It's used by 12 countries right now. Which countries are not entirely sure of how relevant that is, but it's huge, and Quant is integrated in its core. Excuse me.
Yeah.
This article, go ahead, Tim, please.
No, it's just another step in how LACchain is developing. But as far as I understand it, is that they're going to launch their own blockchain now. And that's kind of what this announcement is about, right?
Yeah, as a result of the alliance between Red Clara and LACnik, and in collaboration with the International Development Bank Lab. That's why they use acronyms and abbreviations. IDB Lab. within the framework of the LACchain regional program, the first blockchain network in the global public permission sphere. In production and business grade has born. Jesus. Again. No. That's an amazing sentence, don't you think?
Yeah. You can see that they literally translated it from Spanish to English. It doesn't make sense.
I'll try it again. As a result of the alliance between Red Clara and LACNIC and in collaboration with IDB Lab, within the framework of LACchain regional program, the first blockchain network in the global public permission sphere that is in production and is business grade has been born. I kind of.
Yeah.
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 I helped the sentence out a bit. Yeah. This network is based on the protocols and experience of LACchain and orchestrated by LACnet, a neutral and non-profit international association established for this purpose in Uruguay.
Yeah. And should I do the next part?
Yeah, sure.
So LACnet will allow organizations, governments, and companies to join a network with their projects with a service level guarantee required by this type of interested entities. It is a unique network as it is simultaneously open, governed, regulated, ecological, and with a focus on inclusion. Yeah, that is dus. Oh, sorry, that was a bit of Dutch in between my little. So that is. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
My stone cold English here live.
It's super authentic.
No, yeah, it's authentic. No, but that is just a part about this blockchain, and I think the rest of the article kind of rambles on what's going on here.
Well, what's interesting about this bit that you just read, that it says organizations, governments, companies. It's unique as it is open, governed, regulated, ecological, and a focus on inclusion.
Yeah.
That means it's permissioned, non-permissioned. It's everything on everything. So it's literally it needs an interoperability solution. That's where I'm going for.
Yeah.
It needs interoperability on a level that can interoperate everything to everything. And that's the biggest problem with many blockchain interoperability solutions, because they merely only connect, say, Ethereum to Bitcoin, or they bridge it, or whatever non-really interoperability solution they use. But the way this is stated, apparently this works. Apparently governments and private networks and open networks can interoperate and communicate on DLT and blockchain.
Yeah, what strikes me is that they claim to have multiple features, but is that all going to be on one blockchain, or do they need some kind of other solution?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They can use 20 blockchains and 10 legacy networks and 3 DLTs, and it will just work if you put Overledger in between.
Exactly. That's kind of the language that you read in between the lines if you go through this.
Yeah.
And then you just go on, and they, well, I haven't really read the article that good, but it just makes some statements, and they talk again about a digital highway, and that is something that I've seen before with LACchain, that they just say that they're creating this digital highway between North and South America,
which is huge.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
To send data from A to B, and
also
back.
Payments and shit. You know what a big problem is the duration for payments to go from the North Americas to the South Americas, or just between countries. There are so many buttons that need to be pushed. Nobody trusts each other, and costs are ridiculous. You sometimes pay 7%. I read somewhere for transferring money. It's stupid. Sometimes there are even fixed fees for sending that. Meaning, if you send fewer than $100, you need to pay more than you sent, which is crazy. But obviously the duration needs to go down for all these things, and this is just talking money. There are so many more things being data that need to be, that they want to be transferring from between countries and sending information in a secure way, and probably without trusting anybody. That's one of the things that I heard Hungarians say this or write this morning. How beautiful is it that we can create something where we can send information from one to another, where we do not have to trust the person on the other end, because we can trust the code in between. And I know this sounds really crazy to a lot of people listening to this, knowing how easy it is to exploit many of the blockchain solutions and whatnot. But in the end, code is, if written properly, really hard to corrupt. And people are very easy to corrupt. People can be bribed, people can make mistakes, people can pretend to be other people behind a computer, or in real life, meaning that if you can just take the people out of the transaction or out of the loop, then everything becomes standardized. And that's where Gilbert wants to take the world. Regulated and standardized. So
towards an internet of trust, right? That is basically where we're moving.
So that everybody plays by the same rules.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, and that's also kind of a bridge towards something we will be talking about later. It's the difference between having trust in code and completely relying on code. That's kind of the DeFi argument. And the DeFi versus the non-DeFi, or the traditional world. That's something we'll be talking about later. But nonetheless, we are transferring now towards this internet of trust, and that is huge. So take it back to Jarno. But there is a lot of interesting stuff going on there, I think.
Yeah, and Quant is dead smack in the middle. It's the LACchain thing is the same with EPSI, the European blockchain, which will 99% sure also use Overledger technology. Anybody can just plug in when it goes live, and it will change everything. It will make digital identity possible. Self-sovereign identity will be made possible, because right now the current internet, everybody, well, not everybody, but most people use VPN. People use anonymity. Nobody uses, well, practically nobody uses their real names, because everybody's scared. Everybody's cautious, because people are just bastards.
Yeah.
And everybody, well, not everybody, many people try to take what is yours. So you have to protect it yourself and shit. It just costs a lot of money, it costs a lot of time, takes a lot of resources just in general. And going to what is now LACnet and what EPSI will be, and I think blockchain China is also a solution like that, just makes everything way more secure. And what a lot of people, I think, don't really understand is that it makes everything more private. It's just a matter of the choices that are being made in the code. And oftentimes, which bothers me, and I don't know, Tim, I'm sorry if we didn't want to go here, but it just felt like the right turn to take. Like everybody is on the internet crying that, for instance, CBDCs and other stuff will take away privacy. And that is the default, or the, how do you say, that there's no way to avoid that.
Yeah.
And I think that nothing has been more untrue ever than that. I think that right now all your data is everywhere and you're sharing everything without knowing it. But when all these solutions go live, I mean, in the Netherlands we have DigiD. That's like that's like a solution where you have an app that you can use to log into government things, which is kind of like a 2FA thing, and that already stores much of our identity stuff.
Yeah,
and
it's like just your digital identity, and just like you have a European digital identity now. When you go to Dutch government websites, you want to do stuff, requires the government, such as booking a COVID test or
but also
whatever.
Healthcare, insurance, just in
exactly
general.
all the kind of stuff. You can also now do that on a European level. So it's increasing.
And what you will get in the future, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but
No,
what you get in the future is that you're gonna have just one app like our DigiD, digital identity, where you can just flick switches into whom can see your data and under what circumstances. And what this gives you is when you get like, when we go one step further to the self-sovereign identity, where you can control your own data and your own information, is that you can literally just check whichever entity can see your information, and most importantly, who can not. And right now, it just takes a lot of time. If you want to get an insurance, you need to authorize people left and right to share data with one another, which is quite a shit show if you're in a hurry, because it just takes time and time and time, and it costs money, etc. And in the future, you can just say, okay, I'm going to give this people permission to look at my data, but I do not give them permission to share. I do not give them permission to download. They cannot make screenshots or whatever, and they only have permission to use this data for X number of hours, weeks, or days, or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is then all done by code.
Yeah.
So it's also immutable, if that makes sense. And you can just set timers. You can just set timers. You say, okay, I have an insurance, and I'm going to do this for only a year. And after a year, you need to renew everything. And you can just all coordinate that yourself. And to many people, that sounds really scary and really difficult. But obviously, there will also be an option like you have with cookies right now. Sure, take everything. Take my firstborn son on Facebook. Click, take my firstborn. Okay, bye. And some people want that, but that's fine. But for the people that don't want that, you're going to have way more options. You're going to have way more control. And you can also see if an entity is sharing your shit. So in this example, if Facebook, which they do, sell your shit in the United States, even if you're European, you can then see that because you can see where your code has been going. Yeah. Tim has made designs together with LACchain for Instagram. They created this brand with this orange and the black for quant information. And now there's some thief that stole their design and created a t-shirt with their definitions and their logo and their branding on it. In the future, if you do that, it is coupled to your self-sovereign identity. All the data you create, every picture you take, every podcast, every sound, every word you produce will be coupled to your identity if you want to. You do not have to, but you can. So if you're a creator and somebody steals your shit, then you can get paid or at least compensated, or you have the right to say, okay, so it makes everything more honest if you want to. Rant over.
Oh, it's good. But it's also funny because we are also looking at Web3, also looking at all those terms. We are just like DeFi. We're looking at it, but we just see fundamental flaws with the technology, and we are proposing kind of a different system in how to implement it. So with DeFi, that as well, you can do that. You can fully rely on code, but you're still in it with people. And if that's not governed by anyone, then it's going to rock at some point. And with Web3, it's a bit different there, but
100% decentralization will never happen.
Exactly. That's our main argument. So yeah, that's just our take on this.
I mean, it can happen, but you have to keep in mind one thing: there will always be people that want your shit and don't want to work for it.
No,
so
exactly. Yeah.
If there are still people, and I had a rant about this in the Dutch group, there were people talking about how Bitcoin and money and etc. should be anonymous, and everybody should be their own bank, and Bitcoin and DeFi should be adopted. I gave the example. It's like going back to the age where people lived in their village, and everything was fungible. If I have this nice toy crocodile, that's been chewed on by my dog. It's a disgusting piece of. But if Tim likes this to make tea, then this has value. So I can trade this for Tim's new webcam because he's really thirsty and he wants crocodile boxer saliva tea. So this is fungible. So this can work. But right now, this has no value. For fungibility, we use money. So what the people suggest that say everything's got to be DeFi, everything has got to be Bitcoin, that we're going to go back to the era where everybody can pay with mirrors and with beads and with that kind of stuff, because everybody can just create a new token, call it DeFi, say it has a certain value, and then buy something from you because they say it's fungible. Would you do that? Would you believe that? Would you sell your car that's only 1 year old for to me that has like 100 chewed up crocodiles because I say it has value? No. How do you know it has value? That's because we have regulations, we have standards, we have government bodies checking and verifying and authenticating and all that stuff. And I know for a lot of maxis out there, that's just plain wrong because that's being manipulated, and that's the man using their power to enrich themselves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Come on, people, be fucking realistic. Be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice on the interwebs where people can trade JPEGs, where people can buy a Dragon Lore AWP in Counter-Strike for freaking $10,000, or trade it for an NFT. You know what? Interesting. But in real life, who's gonna buy a house with glass beads? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah. No.
Sorry. Second
It's
round.
fine. It's fine. I'm
Second
just trying
round.
to. It's just a world I'm not really familiar with. I'm just thinking. I'm just absorbing information here and thinking about it. I don't really have that much to say. That's also something I do on social media a lot. I just copy what other people are saying without putting my own vision on this. I'm just not the kind of tech guy to think about it. But it are definitely interesting discussions. But the thing is, with all these kinds of new technologies, what you see is that everyone has kind of an opinion and a vision of what way it is going, but nobody knows exactly how this will play out, right?
Nobody.
Everyone is telling a fairy tale in a way, and it will eventually go in a certain direction. So for me, as an investor, and for as an average person just in this market, it wouldn't make sense to just go with one side and just fully believe them. So you kind of want to be diversified here, and that is just the beauty of our investment, because whoever is going to win this, whatever is going to happen, we are probably invested in it because they will need interoperability solutions. And if it's not Overledger, that's probably something else, but at least we have spotted it and can anticipate. So if there will be some kind of good form of competition in the future, we will know what to do and anticipate it. So that's the beauty of new technology. You never know who's going to win.
No, but what's interesting to note is that you do know what has already won, but then 40 years ago, and that's the systems that are up right now.
Yeah, true.
And same goes for Bitcoin. Everybody that's also this just dawned on me. Bitcoin is the oldest. It's the daddy coin, you know, the daddy crypto, the first real blockchain and money and blah blah blah. So naturally, obviously, everything is being compared to that, right? Everything has a BTC pair. Everything is gaining in sats or it's losing in sats. But before Bitcoin, there were data centers. And before Bitcoin, there was the dollar and the euro and all that stuff. Still there. But the adoption for the euro and the usage of what is called legacy systems is near 100% saturation, right? Because Bitcoin is old, but Bitcoin is so fucking new that that the majority of the world still hasn't heard about it.
Or they do, but they still have no clue what it is.
Yeah, or how it works, or it's not accessible, or whatever. So if you can make an investment and you can invest in the latest tech, what we all want to do because that's the future, why would you not invest in the past? Because the past cannot be switched off. That's the problem. You cannot simply just flick the switch and turn off the data centers and take 1, 2, 3 years and a couple of $100 billion and just transfer the old system onto the Bitcoin network. It's just not going to fucking happen. It's not possible. It's not reasonable. It's not logical. It's not possible. Same goes with different countries using different solutions. You cannot ask for the RTGS system of the UK to be shut down, and throwing some numbers here, but isn't that network throwing around trillions a day?
Could very well be. I don't have the numbers with me, and I don't.
I believe the UK does
more than gamble on it.
More than 1 trillion in transactions a day through the entire economy. that's 99.99999% on legacy. Let's say they want to switch and they want to go to XRP. Let's say they want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
How are they going to transfer all that data, that entire database, onto XRP? You can't. You can't just turn it off. What are you going to do? You're going to stop the freaking English economy for a day, a week, a month, 2 months? You can't.
It's going to be a Scott Pratt day, I think.
Yeah.
Kind of a bank holiday.
Yeah, exactly. No, but that's the illusion. And many crypto projects might have a lot of things going for them, but if they do not seamlessly and continuously interoperate with legacy systems, it's not going to work. Because even with Overledger, because Overledger does connect the legacy to the DLT and the blockchain, etc. But even then, it takes time. It's always in motion. I don't know if in flux. I like to say that word in flux, but I don't know what it means literally. Write that down in the comments. But it's always moving. Mm-hmm. It's never an on-off switch. It's like my lights. It's really gradual. And I was turning the lights up and down. And during that time, both sides need to work. They need to operate simultaneously, because sometimes data will be in the new situation, being the DLT, and sometimes data will be in the old situation, being on the ancient servers with people on bicycles providing it with electricity. And there needs to be interoperability. The data needs to be able to flow from left to right, from the old to the new, and vice versa. And that has to be there until everything has transitioned.
Mm-hmm.
And that and that requires then again the standards and the ISOs, and that requires regulation and all that stuff. Oh, Quant, the fucking savior.
Yeah.
Now there's literally no other solution out there right now that we know of, except Chainlink.
Yeah, also something. First, however, you wanted to make the bridge to Chainlink. Then briefly, before we forget it, I said National University of Singapore in an article. Also some kind of bridges to the fact that there is no other solution. I just wanted to drop in here.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
ahead. So this was a paper apparently published in April 2021. Just I think people are just randomly using Scopus or those other, like Google Scholar, does this search engines for academic articles, and just typing in Overledger all day and just searching for stuff. Anyway, we got a hit here. It's from a paper from the the National University of Singapore Center for Maritime Law working paper.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, of course. Oh, yeah. It makes it a bit easier for everyone.
Careful not to dox too much.
This is my home screen.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Juicy. So as you can see here, it's the Center for Maritime Law, which is part of the Faculty of Law of the National University of Singapore. It's a working paper that's published in April last year. It's about the blockchain bills of lading and their future regulations. So it's about the loading of ships, I guess, the cargo. Anyways, when you search this document, I'm going to the search function really quickly. It mentions Overledger. I'll go to the first hit. Oh, here, and then goes to like the 140 is the, what's the word in English? In Dutch, it's a footnote. It's one of the notes like behind. You know what I mean? Like one of the sources.
And when you go sounds pretty English to me, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
A reference.
Yeah, it's one of those references.
Quotation.
I think. I spent so many years in academia and I still don't know. I'm also kind of lazy now. You've completed your studies. You're like,
you can read there the GSBN run by Cargo Smart.
Yeah.
Although also built upon Hyperledger Fabric.
Shall I do it? And
yeah.
Okay. So it's part of a sentence. Oh, here, let's just do the entire, because this is just one sentence, but it's part of a paragraph. The first issue to note is that even the projects that initiated the transfer of bills of lading are different and incompatible. For instance, TradeLens, which built upon Hyperledger Fabric, hey, there we go again, Hyperledger is here, will not talk to Cargo X, which relies on the Ethereum blockchain. So they're saying, okay, so if you're with one solution on Hyperledger and the other one is on Ethereum, they can't talk to each other. Here we go. The GSBN run by Cargo Smart, although also built upon Hyperledger Fabric, will not share data with TradeLens. Although some practical solutions have been implemented regarding this issue, given the diversity of blockchain platforms, fragmentation regarding solutions and their approach to interoperability is pervasive. And on 140, such as the Overledger, which aims to resolve the interoperability in issue in blockchain. And then see, the website of Quant Network, accessed the 3rd of March 2021, which proves that even a year ago, Quant was here, was working and doing its thing. So it's basically just in this academic paper where they're saying, okay, so basically you have this interoperability issue. And it just goes on and on and on about all this issue. There are solutions now, and it's a problem, but there are current solutions. And they mention Overledger specifically, which is kind of big for me, because if you're writing such a paper, you're thoroughly doing your research. Like you cannot just get away with just saying, oh yeah, you actually need to look into it, which is good. And it's a very prestigious university. It's just one of those small side steps. It's nice to see that people are actually getting aware of what's going on. I'll take it back to Jarno here, because you've probably have had enough of my English, which is terrible at the moment.
Don't worry, man. You're doing fine. Now you noted that Hyperledger Fabric was being used, which is interesting because to many people in crypto, I do not have the fact sheet up right now. Maybe you can find it, Tim, with the URL.
I'll find it for you. I'll show it.
Because there's this adoption data available on blockchain and DLT, and to what extent certain blockchain solutions or DLT solutions are being used by business, by enterprise, by corporates. And I know that there are probably people listening here and they're like, yeah, fuck the governments, fuck the corporates, and they're all corrupt and shit. And that might be true, but they are the main clientele for Quant. And this is a Quamfy podcast, and we are
with you.
Can beat them, join them, people.
I'll briefly bring it back up.
What was that?
I'll briefly bring it back up.
There you go.
Screen. Yeah. So this is from the Gartner 2020 blockchain kind of consultancy round.
Gartner, hold on. Gartner, on the side note, Gartner is the biggest of the big, of the hugest of the.
What do they do? Parabolic. You can do it. Hyperbolic.
Now they verify stuff. They check stuff. They write reports. And they're just very, very reputable and highly acclaimed. Is that the right term? People want their data. They buy their data. They buy their reports, and a report costs multiple thousands
Yeah, exactly. So it's
No,
just a consultancy.
not glass beads, dollars or euros.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's one of the primary consultancy companies in the world, which kind of specializes in technology, and in one of their kind of annual assessments that they make is the blockchain assessment, and they kind of go to companies and ask them, hey, you're using blockchain, what kind of technology do you out with this questionnaire, and they kind of do the rounds, and then it results in this figure. At least in 2020 it resulted in this figure. I'm curious to see the updated version on 2021, which we will probably see in the coming few months. Anyways,
yeah, so this is, yeah,
I'm not sure if it's annual, but I think it must be annual or biannual at least, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. Nonetheless, what we see here are the main the main technologies that corporates use at the moment. And well, I'm questioning you, Jarno. Do you see Solana and some of them, Avalanche? Do you see them?
No, of course not. But this is 2 years old data.
Okay. Okay.
And a lot has changed, because we know that in crypto or in tech in general, years pass in weeks, because this was 2020 was also pre-COVID, kinda, or maybe mid-COVID-ish. But 2020, not that much. That's not entirely true, but that's what happened.
But you get the point, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
okay, so my point
Stellar is on there, IOTA is on there. Solana will be in the same category.
So for the people who are not watching and are listening this, we don't see them. What we see are tokens called Corda. Have you ever heard of the Corda token, Jarno? Because apparently it's the most used. 369 companies have signaled to use Corda. I've never heard of the Corda token, but apparently 369 companies do. Hyperledger Fabric. Have you ever heard about the Hyperledger Fabric token? I haven't, but it's being used. 235 companies signal that they're using Hyperledger Fabric. Ethereum is there.
Number 3.
It's a third, but I'm not sure whether it's the public Ethereum. Could be enterprise Ethereum.
Yeah.
Then Quorum, 29 companies use that. So it's 104 companies using Ethereum, 29 Quorum. 17 are building their own custom solution. Bitcoin is being used by 16 companies. Belrium by 13, LACchain by 12, and Next, NXT 11, and Sigma Ledger 10. Then Amazon with 9 companies, Amazon QLDB. And then 30 companies are using something else. And then it's 5 companies, including one called Ripple. We know them. 5 companies use Ripple. 5.
Yeah. It's
Stellar. One company.
It's an interesting graph for sure.
It's very interesting, because it shows us something that apparently the adoption that we have in mind is really going here, right?
Yeah, it's on the permission chains, definitely, and it's also the chains where the tokens are not needed. I mean, Hyperledger is technically.
But Bitcoin isn't a permission chain, right?
No, but it says primary blockchain technologies utilized in consultancy engagements.
Okay.
So consultancy engagements. I'm just using logic here because I do not know the definition. You can maybe Google that.
I'll Google it briefly.
Consultancy engagements, but I think that has something to do with just auditing stuff and not really technically using it. Consulting engagements, yeah. So yeah, okay.
But nonetheless, however you look at it.
So what does this entail? Look that up, the definition.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot that people can actually view my screen.
Working in business consultancy requires a lot of balance, depending on how you set yourself up. The most likely scenario is you're going everything yourself. Yeah, okay. This is consultancy engagements. So you hire them, you want to do a transaction, you can use Bitcoin for payments. I think that will cover it. I think for Ethereum the same, and all those other things.
Yeah. Now, nonetheless.
But again, this is ancient. This is ancient data. It's 2 years old.
Yeah, but I think the point still stands, despite the fact that it's 2 years old. And that is because it's a speculative market. So I think that the prices and the price action doesn't mean anything. It has no grounding. I think that the market itself hasn't changed that much in 2 years' time. I think that the speculation, the to the moon stuff, that's there, and that changes rapidly because things can rock. But fundamentally, nothing really changes in those 2 years. It's like selling an oil tanker.
I think it's skewed even more towards the permission. I think there are many more companies now into the DLT space.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is just my gut feeling. There's no data right now to back this up. But I think it's skewed even more to the permission side. And obviously, all these numbers will have increased. But I think the Cordas and the Hyperledger users have grown much more than the ones requiring tokens. Or are permissionless.
I'm just looking forward to seeing new reports on this and see how it goes. But at least it did signal something very. I think that was one of the most crucial figures that I've seen when investing in Quant. And that is that you just see that there is no corporate backing of all those things on the public market. All those tokens are not being used by companies. That was just such a convincing argument for me to almost still all into QNT. Because once the bubble pops, and it will pop at someday, you need some kind of corporate backing. If you don't, you're screwed. If there is no adoption, it's not going to work out. Which brings us to another point, I think.
Yeah, you want to go to the Chainlink?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chainlink was supposed to be one of the main competitors for Quant with their CCIP. And let me see, where am I? CCIP was most likely gonna do the same as Overledger does, but then more focused on the DeFi side of things. Am I sharing sound? No, I'm not sharing sound. Let me see how I do this again. Share sound. Then this popped up. This is Chainlink Labs.
We've got a question about Alliance Block using CCIP. We've got to see what CCIP looks like first before we talk about who's using it and what it's going to look like there as well. I mean, these are questions that I want to know too, but we're not quite there yet. So we need to move forward in this year and see what CCIP looks like and see all those sorts of things. But we certainly can ask Matthias about the 2022 roadmap.
Yeah, so this was in a video call with Alliance Block. Chainlink was gonna have a collab with Alliance Block. That turned out to be a prize feed. How's that for a partnership? And you see here Andy Boyan and Zai Reyes, both from Chainlink Labs. And Andy Boyan actually said, what will CCIP look like? We'll have to see. We have no clue. So regarding the competition bit, there are knowledgeable people in our Quant community that have made the guesstimation that from this point, Chainlink is about 3 to 4 years behind technologically.
Yeah.
So even if Quant stopped developing for 3 to 4 years, it would be very likely that the Chainlink didn't even catch up with the CCIP thing, since it is still on the drawing board as per Chainlink Labs themselves, which is interesting.
A problem for them, because Chainlink is so far behind that even when Quant stops, and they didn't stop. Today we got 2.2.0. Yeah, which is another point of this episode. I don't want to spend that much time on CCIP because it's irrelevant for us.
That's pretty obvious. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Overledger 2.2.0.
Bring the juice. Yeah.
Man, you fucking savage.
Well, no, honestly,
I went to fucking work.
Yeah, no, but in the Dutch episode, we covered CCIP for a bit, and I just thought about it later. I was like, yeah, okay, fair enough. They're going to come up with some kind of interoperability solution, which on the drawing board will look similar to Overledger, but if it's so far away, it's irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant.
Oh.
Look at how Bitcoin is still managing to be number one, even though its tech is completely outdated and hopeless.
Obsolete.
Obsolete, yeah.
In the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Imagine a business waiting 5 minutes that you're gonna go get an ice cream. You got to pay with Bitcoin. You need to wait 5 minutes.
How much will a transaction cost? We don't really know. It's up to the miners somewhere in Kazakhstan what they charge us. And
it takes for 2 block confirmations what 10 minutes?
Yeah, but at least it's completely decentralized, so that's good. Yeah.
Unless you want somebody to blame when
Clowns.
something goes wrong.
Complete clowns, that's what I call them. Bitcoin boefjes in Dutch.
Thugs. Okay, here we go. Overledger 2.2.0 improves performance and data quality across APIs. 17th of February 2022. Quant Overledger is the world's first blockchain agnostic API gateway. In Overledger 2.2.0, we enhanced the performance of the gateway and improved data consistency across our APIs. There are no new features added within this release. Quant has a steady product roadmap for Overledger to enable customers to create enterprise-grade smart contracts that function across blockchains, smart tokens for digital asset management, and tools to analyze multi-DLT transactions. Developers should note that due to Overledger's API changing in this release, any MDApps created in earlier versions of Overledger should be retested. Please see the release notes 2.2.0 for full details on the changes in version 2.2.0. And there's a get started now link as well.
Yeah, interesting. So basically they say there will be no features in this new update, and they're just adding better stability to everything that's going on the network, including gateways. They mentioned it again. And someone else mentioned on Telegram
exactly
once you kind of introduce a new number here, so you put it 2.20, then that will usually lead up to a bigger release of stuff. So you kind of finalize what you've been doing before. You're just kind of polishing that. Then it's fine, and you can move on to something else that's bigger. You
can technically go on 2.1 indefinitely. You can go to 2.1.999,999 and nobody would bat an eye. But they chose to go to 2.2.0, and this is all speculation, obviously, and this is playing with the margins. But it's pretty interesting that is going on.
You're not doing this when you have nothing to offer. Then you would just put 2.18 out and not 2.1 points. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not a tech guy by any standards, but
what's interesting is that it's a gateway update, and they improved consistency and performance. So this again confirms that gateways are live, and we know for a fact that they are live because, well, no, we don't know for a fact, but Gilbert said they are live and that they are running the gateways for now until they can support gateways. And as you noticed earlier this episode, there's now a beginner guide to becoming a blockchain DLT developer, gateway operator, etc. This is a very, very smart way to go about it, because now everybody that wants to run a gateway will get educated. Overledger network is running on Quant gateways, so the decentralization part is a little bit of a fact, but not the way everybody wants it, because everybody wants staking. But if they would have released the gateways today, then most of us would have not known how to set up a gateway. what that will create is a fucking landslide in customer service requests. I'm having trouble X, Y, Z, all that shit. So what they've now done, they have started with a course. They want people to run the course.
Hi Gilbert, when help.
When support. Now,
Yeah, when support.
So everybody's getting educated, and after then, in the meantime, they are still obviously stress testing gateways, because that's what you see right here, and they're improving. So when the plebs, the community, get gateway access, it will be a much better polished product. We will all be way more knowledgeable, and they will have to spend fewer resources to keeping everything running and to get people going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same thing as what you see in the course. They say, well, we're just doing it this way because it's not costing us too much time, because they are clearly busy doing other stuff. Yeah, I find it kind of amazing that even though they are developing so quickly, that they still had the time to put that out. I think it's one of the projects that Rafael, the intern, which was a PhD student, and we've talked about him before. Not sure in English.
Not in English, no.
Yeah, but at least part of his internship at Quant was developing, writing an academic paper and doing all kinds of stuff. And I think that this is one of the things that he was working on, getting this course started. It might be like an outsider perspective, like, hey guys, we're just in this company, we're doing this, but how are we going to bring back this knowledge to the general public and developers? It's purely speculation, but it would kind of make sense in my mind.
It is so smart to educate your target audience first
before you,
and then launch the product, because what is most expensive always, and expensive not just in dollars but also in time, is customer service. Customer service, if that is shit, then you have issues, then you have troubles. If you have a web shop with a really clunky UI, user interface, and with limited payment options, you're going to have a lot of trouble. You're going to be spending a lot of man hours and a lot of resources on keeping people happy. And if people get their fingers burned once, they're pissed. But if you burn their fingers multiple times, they're just not coming back. And then you're going to get bad reviews, and that's going to create a whole different heap of trouble.
Yeah.
So producing a course, educating your target audience, and in the meantime streamlining your product is amazing. Same, because when people are going to attend to this course, which people will, because we all want to make money in a way, there's going to be feedback. And they can very easily, drip by drip, identify what the problems are, because everybody works at their own speed. Some people might not take 6 weeks and 6 hours a day. Some people might just do this in 2 days. And they will be the best at that already. And they will go to Quant Network to fix issues. And those issues will be fixed before somebody else gets there. And it's like a little staircase. So then all the customer service problems and questions, they will trickle in. It will not be a flood, and it will not be repetitive and all that shit. So it's really, really smart the way they're going about this. And I'm really happy that they're doing it this way, because in the end, the product will be better, reputation will be better, and we will be getting a way smoother performance than we had before. Remember my anecdote of the first iteration of gateways. I felt so stupid. I felt so dumb, and we all wrote that down, and they took it to heart and they implemented it, and it's an amazing project. It really is.
Really is. I wanted to say something about this, but I don't really have anything to say. I was thinking about the early days of the internet, where you're just kind of, of even computer technology, that you just kind of school people into what's going on and get everyone on board as good as you can. That's where you need to put the effort first, school them, and then sell them your product. Because then once they're used to it, it's kind of almost like how an entire generation got used to just using Windows and all its products. Like we all grew into using Word and Excel and that kind of stuff.
So smart. If you survive long enough.
Yeah, then everyone is used to it and becomes a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's smart.
Yeah.
XRP, I see it there on the screen.
I opened the release notes. And the release notes read, what's new? Overledger 2.2.0 improves consistency and data quality across our APIs. Overledger 2.2.0 is a quality improvement release to enhance data consistency across our APIs. We have also enhanced existing API functionality. All API calls return timestamps in a consistent format, regardless of underlying DLT format, which is still available in the native data structure. Improved handling of Bitcoin pending transactions. XRP transaction.signature handling aligned with other DLTs in search output. XRP operations at a single address populate both origin and destination fields with that address. Transaction search results data structure aligned with other API calls for consistency and readability. You can actually notice that I am not very tech savvy on the developer level because I'm actually choking on some of these sentences. Ethereum signing / fee calculation more robust under conditions of very high, very low traffic on Ethereum. Balance in quotations, data type standardized to string across all API calls. Ethereum sequence number calculation optimized. These are just words to me. Correctly return data on empty XRP blocks. Case handling and returns for hashes.
We have
consistent
a couple of more pages. I'm going to abort your mission here.
No, this is the last one.
Oh.
DLTs, other minor optimizing and defect fixes that do not affect API functionality.
Okay.
And then you get the following APIs are upgraded to provide improved data quality. And then you're gonna get that's one item. Sandbox in production. Then you got some stuff.
Okay,
we'll post this in the for the people that are interested.
How does this benefit the average investor?
That's a good question. I
mean,
get
the
carried
information
away.
we're sharing here, yeah, well, it's nice, but I don't think that the average person reading is like.
I should have done this. You're absolutely right. Good lesson.
Yeah, well, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Put it in the description.
It's cool stuff, but I think that the average person is not transgressing beyond the Wen Staking question, which we actually got on Instagram. Just directing this back. Wen Staking, please shut it with this question. It gets really tiresome. For I don't know how many times I've brought this up, but we're still waiting for the gateways to fully release. They're currently in the internal environment of Quant for the reasons Jarno mentioned before. The reason of customer support, that's the issue, what we're focusing on. And they will release it as soon as the team is ready. And then we can stake. In the meantime, there will probably be some pools on some sketchy exchanges, I think, where you can probably also stake Quant. And if you're really here for the staking, you should be in Quant in the first place, because the API is going to be so low that it won't be very interesting for you. On the other hand, all Quant, this is part of my standard story, that the supply is so limited that even a very low API will probably result in Quant, which will be extremely valuable in the future. So that's our standard answer. So when staking, not yet, just wait for it and just stake Quamfy.
There was also a very interesting call the other day with Hungarian, Max Bosenko.
Yeah.
Ghost wasn't there this time. There are also.
Are you pointing at the conversation of this week, or?
Yes.
Yeah. That was on
the Twitter Spaces.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Twitter Spaces.
It was in Twitter Spaces, Telegram, and Clubhouse. Really interesting.
They streamed it multiple ways, and Greg Lund, Hungarian Hortail. Also, I called Max Bosenko. Max Bosenko wasn't there, but they're all community gods, also trying to educate and teach while also learning themselves, just like we do.
Yeah.
I'll put them in the description as well. You definitely need to check them out. But they had they had some interesting chatter. So some interesting talk on stuff that we talked about here as well. But what I was trying to say is that afterwards we were on Telegram, and Hungarian analyzed the Coinbase situation. There were people, and we're talking wallets right now. Coinbase had been silently accumulating QNT tokens during last summer after it listed, Quant listed on the Coinbase, and they managed to acquire over 10% of the total supply by now. In the Dutch podcasts, a couple episodes back, I told you guys that I found it interesting that there were so many wallets with the same amount of tokens, and we thought it were treasury buys. Turns out they are Coinbase. Some people in the Dutch Quant Group also pointed that out. Thank you for that. You were absolutely positively right. But what is interesting is that when you go check on those wallets, I think they are page 5, 6 of Etherscan. Go do your own research. All those wallets have only been adding QNT. There's no ETH, and there have not been any selling of any QNT whatsoever. Not a single QNT has been sold. They have only been adding and adding and adding to their portfolio. So it's not a liquid supply, which is interesting. And what the hypothesis was that that Hungarian had was that they could potentially very well be offering gateway services. Obviously, you cannot stake from your ledger. And I know many people of you still believe not your keys, not your coins, and it's still not untrue. But for the regular man who doesn't want to run its own gateway, a Coinbase gateway could be a solution. But with their current stack already, they have like 1.5 million now QNTs, I believe, that Gates Hungarian said. They could even provide QNT rewards, which is really interesting because my suspicion would be that if they would, an exchange would give returns, it would be very smart of them to only give rewards in their native token. Because if you're Coinbase or if you're CoinMetro or whatever, you probably have your own token. That token is essentially free. You did not pay a single cent to create it, but everybody that gets one trades with it and it makes you money. So that's like a very nice revenue model. But if you want to reward people with QNT, you need to have QNT, and that QNT has to have been bought by you because QNT cannot be mined. QNT cannot be farmed. QNT will never be airdropped by anybody because it's simply too scarce and too valuable. It's simply not going to fucking happen unless somebody has another agenda, and you should be very wary about that.
You're probably getting scammed if that happens.
Most likely. There are fewer QNT than Bitcoin. So there is, according to Hungarian, in his mind, this is not a fact, a good chance that you could get rewarded in QNT for staking QNT on Coinbase. To me, I will definitely, if that's an option, spread my funds and put a little bit on Coinbase if that is the case. And that is smart for Coinbase because that means they will have more QNT still to do the things that exchanges do with tokens when they are there. But remember, not your keys, not your coins, etc. But if I'm considering it while I'm going to run my own gateway, many other people will too. Means that if many people do that, then the rewards can go up and blah, blah, blah. Well, could be very interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of how a bank works.
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's the same. Yeah, it's kind of a same services what you see with other cryptos. It's interesting. And now you're talking about it. I remember that Coinbase somewhere in October, somewhere there, they run this little quiz program that you can learn about a crypto, and if you answer all the questions correctly, or if you just run the quiz, I'm not sure, and didn't do it, you can earn a little bit of QNT. Yeah, which kind of aligns with your argument that Coinbase has been buying the dip. Yeah, well, actually bought the pump. I don't really care. They
made the pump so they can buy the dip. Yeah, it's a pump and dump.
It's a fucking pump and dump. No, now that could have been a theory. I'm just speculating here. It's pure speculation. I don't know. I'm not into the Coinbase team, and again, I don't really care. Again, with so many things about Quant, do I really care at the end of the day? Not really. It's just that I see it passing through, and I'm like, okay, nice. Is it going to change my life? Well, probably in the long term, because it will positively affect QNT. But for the short term, I don't know. It's interesting nonetheless. There was another question on Instagram that was being asked.
Shall we make that the last one? Because I need to go pick up my daughter from school in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, let's do that. And it's also a question we can answer a bit in depth. And the question goes as follows. Should I use QRC20 as basis to tokenize my businesses, and why? So using QRC20 as tokenization model.
What do we know of QRC20?
Not much just yet.
Nothing. We know nothing with certainty yet, besides that it's a smart contract standard. It's possible to create tokens. I still have this up probably. Let's see. That's a joking baby. Something else. This is fucking. Is that Bobo or Miko that's always sharing the vomiting babies?
It's Miko.
Oh God, that's disgusting. But oh, here it is. Here it is.
Or clown. He's our in-house clown.
He's our in-house clown. Yeah. Yes. This is Shiba Gilu. Do you see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
Shiba Gilu, SGI, deployed Ethereum, tier 1, 10 million supply, Shiba Gilu on Etherscan, Robston testnet, mind you. So yeah, you can probably do everything and more on your for your business on QRC20 in the not too distant future. But for now, it's crystal ball.
Yeah.
No one knows for sure, but you can imagine what Quant's doing, that you can deploy everything on anything in nearly any language. I think I think that just about covers it. So if there's a certain standard you want to choose, I'd go with QRC20, I think.
Yeah.
But I'm no dev.
Definitely. I think if you are deploying some kind of token and you don't want to be limited to one blockchain, even when you're not sure about what you're doing, because you will figure out on the way what you need, then deploying QRC20 will be a very logical step in my opinion. But how this exactly works, we're not entirely sure yet. But I think it would be a logical decision for many companies to take. So don't speculate too much on it, but it is very interesting. And I think that it will become huge because we are currently limited to just one blockchain, and with this standard we can tokenize stuff that's on multiple chains at the same time.
Multi-chain.
Yeah, it's not cross-chain, it's multi-chain.
I think even Vitalik Buterin said that.
Yeah, but yeah. Now Vitalik said it. Yeah, and for multiple reasons he believes cross-chain future is not really here. It's multi-chain. It will share that tweet. We'll find it for you and share it. All right. So tokenization of QRC20, yeah, high probability that companies will need it, and why you should need it, that's for yourself. If you really need to go on multiple chains at the same time because you want the functionality of different stuff combined, do it. But for this point, it's kind of unclear how it works exactly still. So we're just in the waiting stage. We're Quamfy, and thank you for listening. I think. Is there any last remark, or was this it?
Just everybody, leave a like. If you're on YouTube, make sure to give. Let's just use the feedback options that you have. Let us know which questions. You can use Instagram. You can use Telegram. All links
YouTube,
to
Twitter.
Everything is in the descriptions on every platform. So please do give feedback, ask questions, and besides that, thank you for listening. If you're still here,
if you're still here,
it's been a haul again.
Yeah, no, you've made it all the way through. You heard us rumble and vent things in the community, or untechnical analysis on technical stuff. Yeah. No, it's been a good talk, and we'll see you next week.
Stay comfy.
Stay tuned to our platforms because we will obviously be sharing stuff there. We're just building everything.
And everything we talked about will also be in the description of the whatever you are.
Yeah.
Stay comfy,
As
people.
always, stay comfy.